good evening and welcome. So happy that you have been able to join the live with me this evening. I have none other than Michelle Raymond. She is a nurse, entrepreneur, entertainer, among so many other wonderful things. We also have Aduke Edwards, who is committed to community service, and also Jason Marcus, who is no stranger whatsoever. He was with me earlier this week. He is also an entrepreneur, real estate agent, as well as personal trainer and public speaker. And we have Truly Stefy, who's a public speaker and a devoted mother of three. So without further ado, this is where I introduce to you Team Awesome. We could say that, right? We could love upon ourselves. We could do that. Why?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We're live right now.
We're the 868 pod, Jason. Don't leave us hanging.
Right now, I am Jason Marcus and we are live in the 868.
I love that. Aduke, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to be talking about parenting this evening, and I always remember the story with your grannies. So I'm looking forward to that as well this evening.
Oh, yes. I am Aduke Edwards, and I am of the Level Up 60 Plus. And whilst I am not a parent myself, I have been a child to fabulous parents, grandparents, and my own parents. So I'm looking forward to talking about the whole parenting issue and how it affects us throughout our lives.
Yes. If it's one thing, I think we all are able to talk about parenting because we were all parented. We all had the experience of a guardian or parent breathing into us, pouring into us, spending time with us and helping to build us in some way, shape, or form. Truly Stefy, it is great to have you. This is the first time joining the live.
Hi, everyone. Yes, it's my first time being live.
First time ever being live, is that it?
Yes, first time ever.
That is awesome, Stefy. How does that feel?
Very nerve-wracking.
But you did it anyway, and that's life. And I think as parents or guardians, if it's one thing we need to share with our children is the ability to just pull inside of you and go on despite any kind of nerves, despite any kind of fear. Faith over fear when you think about it. And if we want our children to be able to follow their heart, to be able to follow their dreams, to be able to persevere, we have to be able to lead the way and do that ourselves and be great examples. There's a phrase growing up. I could not have been the only one to get this. You remember when it was always, do as I say, don't do as I do. I think it should be the opposite. It should be, do as I do. That's what I think. Do as I do. And even better than I would do. Anyone else got that? You'll remember that?
Oh, yes.
I heard that phrase too much times.
Too many times.
Yeah. Do as I say and not as I do. Do as I say and not as I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have.
What about this?
Yeah,
what about this one?
Aunt Carol, she says, "Hi everyone, I'm in my car and my cell is about to die." She enjoys listening to these lives.
Oh.
Hi, Auntie Carol.
Hi.
Jason, you were about to say. Hey. Yes, Jason, what were you about to say?
No, as you was talking about that phrase, do as I say and not as I do. I remember this next one, which says, you're living under my roof and it's my rules. Remember that one as well?
Can't forget that one. I think that one led me to say, right. Again, a salary now? Over 80 now? Okay, right out.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Mish? What phrases do you remember?
What do I remember? I remember that last one that you all said. What I do remember is that being 18 years of age and wanting to go to a party, I had to ask permission and I was turned down. The answer was no. At that point, and I'm telling myself that, you feel as though you're an adult at that time. You know, but now that I understand, it was just protection from my mom, you know, just wanted to protect her daughter. But to me, at that time, I thought I was an adult and I should have been able to go out wherever I wanted to at 18 years.
That's the thing.
Michelle.
Although you're 18 and you're legally an adult, there's still some growth that needs to happen. Yes, Jason.
Michelle, I never understand this one, right? So your parents, you do something wrong, and you're getting scolded. They're beating you, and they ask you what you're crying for. You're getting licks, and they ask you what you're crying for, and it's more what you're crying for, and the more you ball is licks. I'm crying because you're beating me. It hurting. That's why I'm crying, because it hurting.
You seem like you went through the whole lot, Jason. You got all of that. You got all the experiences.
I don't believe Auntie Suzanne doing those things, right? Auntie Suzanne is so sweet.
Hey.
Not Auntie Susan.
Yeah.
Susan G? Who's Auntie Susan? I mean Susan G. When Susan G was younger, she was a totally different kettle of fish. Trust me.
Bro, I say the same thing with my mom. I find it so amazing. Every time I see her with my children, I'm like, this was not the kind of treatment that I used to get. What do you mean? I remember my son pierced his nose, and I was like, you need to take that out. I want no piercing on nose. And my mom was there like, well, he's 18 and it's important. He has the opportunity to express himself. I'm like, there was a time period, I was like 19. I decided I wanted to lock my hair. When my mom realized what I was doing, she had me, after about a month and a half of locking this, comb it out. I think I still have bald as a result of that. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what?
Oh God.
But remember, children must be seen but not heard. Remember that one.
Yeah, I know that one for sure.
Yeah. Especially little girls.
Exactly.
And I found that always seemed wrong.
It's quite damaging, I think. That, I'm not allowed to express yourself. And sometimes there could be a serious message that the child wants to give. And, because we have this thing about, not suppressing what they have to say, we could totally miss something that's very important.
I agree with you on that. Because many times I think a lot of things are able to fester because of darkness, because of silence, because of us not allowing children to have a voice. And if we give them the opportunity to express themselves, it could save them, it could heal them, it can give them the opportunity to truly grow into their purpose. And what you're saying is extremely potent, Aduke. I believe that sincerely.
Oh, yes.
I agree, because most definitely, if you keep instilling in them, children need to be seen and not heard, and then for some instance that they are being hurt by in the wrong way by a family member or by somebody, and in their head they're thinking, I can't say anything, I'm not supposed to be heard, and then they wouldn't want to say to you what's going on with them, and that wouldn't be a good thing.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes. Any other phrases you could think of, Mish?
But just extending what was said about children being, seen and not heard. I think it's how society had it a long time ago, because they felt as though children were not intelligent enough to know stuff. And I can tell you from experience, children are very intelligent, because I have memories since even before 2 years of age.
Wow.
Right? There's a particular memory that's very fond. I remember because my dad was a musician, and I remember my mom taking me to where the band was playing on Harris Promenade. And from my memory, I remember legs and thighs. I know that she was just holding my hand, and I was seeing my father on stage. And I wasn't able to say much at that point in time, but I know within my mind, I saw him there, and I wanted to be there with him because I recognized that was my father. And I remember slipping my hands out of hers And I was making my way through legs and thighs. That's all I remember, legs, knees, and thighs. And I don't know how, but I found my way at the side of the stage. And I heard people saying, "Look, where this child coming from? Who's this child?" and whatnot. But I don't remember any faces because the angle was just legs and thighs. And then somebody else lifted me. They put me on the stage, and I remember his back was turned to me. And then when he turned around, he was doing some of this guitar. When he turned around, he saw me. He smiled. He said, "That's my daughter." You know, and I remained on stage with him while they performed. But just to let you know, at that point in time, I knew, even before I was even two, I knew what I wanted. He was, I couldn't say it in words, but I know my father was up there and I wanted to get there. So we need to realize that children are very intelligent, even though they can't speak much of a conversation with you. Within their mind and their heart, they know exactly what it is they want. They know what's going on.
I definitely believe so too. I think every child is born with this inner knowing, this inner sensing of what is needed for them to fulfill their path and move into their purpose and give the world the jewels inside of them that they came with to gift the world. So that is very potent what you're saying.
Yeah.
And speaking about gifts, there was something that my mom used to do when I was a child, and I do so now with my children, and it's the ability to say sorry. You know, sometimes adults believe they know, as you were saying, and that the child doesn't know. And the same way young ones may make mistakes, we adults also make mistakes. And I remember anytime my mom felt like she may have wronged me or she was not correct in a certain circumstance, from as young as I could remember, she would always ensure before we went to bed at night, she would say, "Daughter, sorry, I was wrong with so, and I love you," from as young as I can remember. And I think that is important. I believe too, when you grow as an adult, it gives you the ability to truly understand that one, it's okay to make mistakes. Two, be quick to forgive. Three, if you do something, make good on it. Make good on it.
Yes, that's true. And you know, Michelle, there is no perfect parent or there's no
Never.
perfect parenting rule. It's, from what I've seen, it's like trial and error and a lot of praying. Trial and error.
A
You
lot
learn
of
from your
praise.
mistakes, and as much as you say, if you did something that you feel you need to say sorry to your child, you're never too big to say sorry because they have feelings too, and you love them. So they need to always be assured that you love them and what you did or said may have been out of love, and it may not have been the right thing, but you realize that and you're asking them, you know, that you're sorry, you're asking their forgiveness.
That is very true. And I think when we teach children kindness, they grow into adults who are kind. When we teach children humility, they grow into adults who have humility. And I believe a lot of things are learned from childhood. There was an interesting picture that I saw just today, actually, and this topic came up very impromptu, but everything is so serendipitous at times. And in the picture, they were showing transference of anger. So, for example, they were showing a mother who was arguing with her child, and then they showed the child arguing with a cat, and then they had a boss screaming at a father, and then they had the father screaming at the wife. So they were showing that transference of energy. And now in our adult minds, we need to always check ourselves and ask ourselves, are we transferring our not so perfect days onto the members of our family, especially our children? Because we are teaching people through how we act, not so much what we say. I'm seeing that Michelle Williams Wilson is saying long-time parents never said sorry. In their mind, they are the parents and they are always right. I believe in saying sorry, even if I'm right. I love to stand humble at all times. That is beautiful, Mish. I think that's important. We have a lot of Michelles here this evening.
Yeah.
Yes. Also want to say hi to Ronald Acqui. He says excellent, so we know he's enjoying the topic. Michelle Williams Wilson also said great topic, and hello to the panel. We have our very own brand new talented thinker, Racine Paul, who's saying yes. And Jason, Suzanne G would like to let
Susan
everyone
G.
know Jason was spoiled rotten.
No, I don't believe that. I do not believe that.
The voice would be like, Michelle, Jason was spoiled rotten. Isn't that it? Yes. It would be cool and calm. We do not believe what you speak of, not Suzanne G.
Susan G. You see Susan G up here? I was not spoiled rotten. I do not believe that.
You were spoiled rotten with love. With love. Plenty love. Plenty love.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know if you want to call this being spoiled rotten, but when I was maybe about 4, my dad went away to Canada to go on a conference.
Yes.
And I was home with my mom, and I was missing my dad. So I cried and cried and cried, and she had to jump on a plane and carry me to Canada to drop me off my dad and then come back. Is that spoiled rotten?
Spoiled.
Yes, Jason.
And I'm sure.
Spoiled.
That kind of
Spoiled child. Oh my God.
sounds a bit like it.
Yes, spoiled.
I think one of the things we would have gotten long ago, if it is, you cry, and you want something, will be like, cry now, cry, see if you'll get it. Cry now. A lie.
No, or you might get licks. You might get licks for crying and cry some more.
So Suzanne G, aka Jason's mommy, who we all love, says he was firstborn son. And we have your auntie, who's my auntie's friend, Arlene.
Hey!
Hi, Auntie Arlene.
Hey, hi, Arlene. Hi, Auntie Arlene.
I know there's some people who will be like, you with your big self calling people auntie. I believe if I was calling you auntie when I was 5, I could still call you auntie at even 35, 45, 55, 65 until.
Oh gosh. I don't think Auntie Arlene will want when in public calling her auntie. She might be like
I never got buff up or anything with that. Judy Bartolo says, hi, good night, everyone. And Michelle Williams Wilson says, what? You would cry off your liver string out? And Auntie Arlene says, hi, how are y'all? And she says, exactly. Good. I don't know if she said, aha, proof. See what I told you? She says, I love when y'all call me auntie.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Lovely. Love in the house. Love in the house.
What are some things
I just
that...
want to say something with regarding my grandmother, because I grew up with grandmother. She died when she was 96.
Wow.
And the young version of my grandmother, Mama, would not apologize. But as she got older, she would apologize, because I think she kind of started seeing us as almost her equal, like her buddy, her friend. So we kind of transferred from being the little children that she looked after. And as we started looking after her, there seemed to be some sort of transfer in terms of the roles between us. The relationship seemed to not exactly level off, never. But, she seemed to see us in a different role. And so you would hear her say, God, I'm really sorry about that, certain things, and so it was different. The relationship really changed quite a lot by the time she was in her 90s and we were all adults.
Wow. I always feel very moved when you talk about your grandma, because I think there's so many powerful lessons that she passed on to you, and your reflections with regards to your time with her, it's always inspiring. And that made me think too about my grandma. And my grandmother was always, my paternal grandmother was always a very proud woman. She even had this stance, and it was, or she would talk to you, I do not like that, or she would cook, and you better sit at that table the moment she calls you to the table. She was not the best of cooks. I spoke about it on air sometime, and my cousin's ex-husband called me up and she said, Michelle, I know you're talking about Ming, you know how long I'm waiting to say your grandma couldn't cook. And I was the one that, yeah, she was the best of cooks.
Yeah.
But every time we sat at the table, no one other than my grandfather would be like, this is great, honey. I love this, honey. And everybody else is there like, what is he talking about? It could be bun. She could burn bread like black. And he'll be like, this is excellent, honey.
Happy wife, happy
But
wife.
no matter what, she would always, even before he said something, say, this tastes very good if I do say so myself. But it got me thinking of my grandma, and certainly that proud lady in her golden years really had some softness to her. And let's maybe share some of the lessons or some of the lines that really struck us. And one from that grandmother in particular that struck me was the day when she gave me her wedding ring. And that was a year before she died. And as she was giving it to me, I said, Grandma, what you doing? You never took that off. No, don't give me that. Because in my mind, I'm there like, is this lady trying to tell me she's going to die? So I was like, take back your ring. Don't give me your ring. And she looked at me and she said, if I don't give you these items now, you will never get it. And a year after, I understood why. Because everyone kept searching for her valuable items. But I already had it before she gifted me. And when she took it off, she said, no, I want you to have it. And as she held it up, before she placed it in my hand, she said, you see this here? This, my wedding ring, 1952. And I want you to always remember this. Love is not the fire you feel at the beginning of a relationship. Love is the cool calm after the fire has gone. That's something to hold on to.
Yeah.
That cool calm. What about your grannies, your mummies, your dads, your grandpas? What are some of the lessons that would have stayed with you?
Michelle, my grandmother, called her Mama too, she loved everybody. I'm telling you, literally everybody. Everybody was, but she had their names like Doodoo Darling or Sheikh Court. She was the best mother-in-law to her daughters-in-law. And it has passed down to my mom as well, because I look at her relationship with my sisters-in-law, and she's a really lovely mother-in-law to them too. But I thought my grandmother was just full of love, always singing, always happy. It's really nice to remember that. Really a happy soul.
I feel she would be very happy as well to see you, because you're an example of that. You're always very loving with everyone. You're a happy soul. And well, you could sing.
Thank you.
Stefy, what about you?
Oh yes, my grandma. She was definitely one of my favorite people of all times. She died when I was 11, but what she taught me in that short space of time just lasted forever so far. Um, she's like the most humble person I ever met, and I would still hear people talk about her and how she's such a kind person that she would do anything for anybody. And I always think that it's so nice to have that legacy live on, for somebody to remember you as being kind. But my mom, however, she's like the opposite of my grandma, very stern. And I think I am more like my grandmom in terms of my parenting style,
Yes.
more on the gentle side. So yeah, so I guess um
So that's what it's
parent,
about. That gentle parenting. You believe gentleness
yes,
is a part of love.
definitely.
Correction to his love, let's not get it twisted. My 3-year-old, just the other day when I was correcting him, and I think, I put on the articles that were needed from my grandmother Borrell, and I was like, no, do not do that. If you do that, you will have to go in the naughty corner. And the tone has to have that kind of seriousness in it. And he turned to me and he said, you are a bully, you are mean, and I don't like you right now. And I said, yo, I am correcting you because I love you. I love you. That's why I'm correcting you, because you have to do the right thing. And you can see that he was taking it in. But we always, too, I think, must have that balance. Yes, be gentle, but always share with our children the importance of understanding that correction, too, is love. Correction, too, is love. And then there's that question of how do we correct? I think when we are really angry, we should stay away from correcting at that point in time, because I think it could go a completely different way. You're thinking about that? I see Jason with his eyes like, yeah, yeah.
No,
Point there.
that's true because if you're angry, right, and you're correcting out of anger, so you may use a little more force than is necessary. Because I have a 12-year-old daughter and I have a 4-year-old daughter. So my 12-year-old daughter is like my best friend. So whenever we go out, we slime, we do stuff together. But so when she does something wrong, she knows that she literally knows that, okay, because we have a good relationship, she knows that, okay, daddy disappointed in me. And so I've never hit her in my life, and I don't think I'll ever need to. But
Right.
because of our communication, that she would feel bad in a sense, and I would just say, okay, well, give me your phone. Oh, no internet, go in the bed. These ways,
Right.
because stuff that they love. They love their phone. They love to be a whole night here on the phone chatting with their friends. Give me your phone for the rest of the night. And that will hurt them more than getting licks. Because you get licks, you feel that pain for a few minutes and that going away. But if you can't chat with your friends for the rest of the night and the conversation going sweet, that's more worse. Right? Well, I'll tell her the other day something she did. Right? I'm not gonna say it because if she on right now, she'll get vexed. So I was like, you know what? I went on. So here was the punishment, Michelle, y'all.
Uh-huh.
I said I want you to go there and write an essay for me on why you should not have done that and all the reasons, the pros and the cons for doing it and again. Go and sit down on the table. And I wanted 3 pages back and front. And that was the punishment. I just find different ways rather
Yes.
than, the corporal punishment. And at the end of the day, I say, okay, now stand up and read it to me. And she read it out. And she truly understood, because now she's hearing back herself reading why she should not have done it, the pros, the cons, and that worked in that situation. So it all depends on the relationship you have with your kids, and I think communication is super important to try and keep those lines of communication free, because you don't want them to feel like if they can't come and talk to you in the event something is wrong, you want them to feel that they could always come and talk to you.
They have a
So
voice.
so you don't want to always be stiff, and they feel like they rather talk to their friend who will give them back the advice, not the correct advice, but the advice that a peer would give you. You want them to be able to come to you and say, hey, Dad, this happened in school, what do you think?
Right.
So I think that communication
Is
is
key.
really important. It's really key, especially in this day and age, where they're exposed to everything on social media, and back in the certain things we couldn't see. To see certain things on the internet, it was impossible, or on TV. Now you could Google it, and you can get everything right
is
there in front of your face,
Yeah.
with no censorship, nothing.
True.
So you
Even
need,
my 3-year-old knows how to Google, and I'm like, he knows to press the mic and say what he wants.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how he
exactly.
learned that? Where he learned that? How?
Exactly. So you need, I think, communication in any relationship, whether it be with your kids, in your significant other, with your parents, with your friends. Communication is the key in any relationship for it to be smooth. Yeah.
You know what I believe as well? As you mentioned, it's important for children to be able to speak up and have an opinion. That is vital.
Yeah.
And a child having an opinion is not rudeness. There's always the question of how information is presented, but we must always welcome their feedback because, as you said, communication is key. Communication is very important. And again, I'm referencing my 3-year-old. He was saying to my mom sometime recently, he said, Granny, you're angry. She said, no, I'm not angry. I'm telling you. And anyone who knows how my mom would speak, my mom is like, you have to keep up.
Yeah.
He was like, yes, you're angry. Look at you. You are on fire. And he's 3. And it's the way that he would express himself. And I love it. I'm all for it. Every time he is able to use his voice, I feel like we're doing something correct for him to know my voice matters. I can speak up. I have that ability.
Use your words. As you teach them, use your words. Say what's wrong. Say what's going on. How you feel. What's going on inside you. Use your words.
Yes.
So
like I saw him as well to his sister. Like what I would always say to him, I don't believe in the tantrums. So I would be like, okay, breathe, count to 10, and we'll breathe. Because what I would always say, so long as you can control your breathing, you can control your feeling.
Yes.
He's there with his 10-year-old sister, and he's like, look at me, breathe. 1, breathe. 2, breathe. 3, and she's like, where does he get these things?
Wow.
Yeah,
there's a 3-year-old telling the 10-year-old that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He told her that she's king of the dragonflies. She was scared of dragonflies, and he was scared of ants. So, like about a week before the incident he had with her, I told him, I said, don't be scared of the ants. You are stronger. You are king. You're king of the ants. Don't fear anything. God is within you. You're king of the ants. What? After that, he was in the yard, standing close to an ant's nest, and my mom was like, Michelle, if this child gets bitten by ants, I'm going to blame you because he's outside telling me, don't worry, Nanny, I am king of the ants. They won't bite me. Good. And then he was in the pool with his 10-year-old sister, and she was scared of a dragonfly. And he was like, look at me, hold on. I am king of the ants. You are king of the dragonflies. You don't have to be afraid. You are king of the dragonflies. Repeat after me. I am king of the dragonflies.
No, at that age, they're like sponge, They absorb everything. Every single thing.
So Racine is saying, she says, saying sorry to our children lays the foundation and teaches them from an early age to accept responsibility. We lead by example. I agree with that. Michelle Wilson is just loving up on us. And then Ricardo Stewart says deep. Michelle Wilson says, wow, wow, wow. And then she continues, all Michelles are loving and full of laughter. I agree. I have to take my grandma's line, if I do say so myself. Racine Paul says, in the wee hours of the morning, they have a saying that we survive based on the prayers of our grandparents. My grandmother is testimony to this. Keith Watkins, our power team member, Keith Watkins, says parenting is always a balance between protecting and preparing children for life. Oh, certainly. Certainly. Aduke, what do you think of that? Can you speak to that comment from Keith? You're on mute, Aduke.
Sorry about that. My background sometimes get a bit noisy, so I muted myself. But I think that that statement sums it up pretty well in terms of, it is a balancing act between protecting and preparing. And some of us get it spot on and some of us get it so very, very wrong. And I don't know if at the time those who get it wrong, I don't know if they know that they're doing something that's not quite right. But you see examples of how wrong it has turned out for some people. So I think it's something, as I said, there's no manual, there's no parenting 101 class or whatever.
And there
So,
should be.
yeah. So by the grace of God, I recall my grandparents. I'm a product of grandparents. As my parents lived abroad, they brought me here to Trinidad for safekeeping. That was their notion, and I applaud them for that. Right? And in the morning, the wee hours, as somebody just mentioned, the wee hours, they would be up, like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, sitting in the gallery. In those days, we didn't call it a porch; we called it the gallery.
Gallery.
Yeah, and they would be praying together, and then they would call the names of each of their children and their children's offspring. Of course, in the middle of it, I will be hearing everybody's business because they will be talking about whatever story, the bacchanal, or whatever it is. But in essence, what they'll be doing is praying for each person. So
Yes.
these days I have a cousin, a first cousins chat, and they are amazed at how much of their business I know. But I was the grandchild who grew up with the grandparents, so I could tell them chapter and verse about so many things. But it was all done from a point of love.
Yes.
My grandparents were concerned with each and every one of their children. And even now, my cousins we would have arguments amongst us because we'd be saying, I thought I was the favorite. No, you was the favorite. Everybody thought that they were the favorite of
Right.
for my grandmother because she did something unique with each one of us that made us feel that we were the top person in her life.
Yes.
Only to realize that she did something with each one of us. So like, she did that with you, but she did this with me, and we'd be having these arguments. And I thought, she really knew what she was doing. And as she said to me, children are her life. So she really enjoyed bringing us all up.
I love that. And I think prayer definitely is so important in everything that we do. We must have that center. And I think that's what's lacking from homes. That's what's lacking when we're seeing all this fighting taking place at schools, when we're seeing, an increase in terms of crime. It speaks volumes with regards to what's happening in households. And I know you may have heard me say this phrase time and time again, and it's worth repeating as many times as possible. And it's Dr. Miles Monroe, in which he says, we don't have societal issues. We have individual problems which impact the society. And what we need to pour in more love into our children, into our homes, even into ourselves. Because just like that transference of anger that we were talking about on the image earlier on, this is the same thing that happens. The same way we can take these seeds, and as my daughter, my 10-year-old, she sent me herself reading Genesis this morning, and something stayed with me. She was reading and sharing in Genesis, and what stayed with me, and there were seeds, and each seed produced more of its kind. Every thought, every action, every deed, every word is a seed. So if we want to produce more of a certain kind, that's where we need to focus. That's where we need to place the energy. And really and truly, the seeds now, in terms of the children, we are really producing more of our kind. How are we with our children? You know, there's a phrase people will say, huh, you know what? They make children, but you don't make them minor. I don't believe that. I feel like that is an enemy thought and it's an enemy statement. What I hold on to is the promise: train up a child in the ways of the Lord, and from that it shall never depart. And I believe that's sincerely true. Even when I think of myself, there were times in which on the path, I go in and then I get a little bit sidetracked. But because you already know where the path is, you see, if you don't know where the path is, you can't get back there. But because you already know where the path is, it's easier to get back on the path. And you just know that is the way you must go. It's just natural, it's just within you. And it's something that we have to nurture. We all have our nature, but we have to nurture within something divine. And when it comes to parenting, when it comes to children, nurturing is so vital. Let's put that in the chat. Take some time and write that in the chat now. Nurture. Nurture. If it's one word we want to ensure stays with us, is the importance to nurture. Let's put that in the chat. Nurture. And Stefy, you did share your method in terms of gentle parenting. Can you speak to us more on that?
So gentle parenting, as in, I allow them to explore their different talents more than just look at what usual parents would do, like grades. You know, a lot of parents focus on the marks in school. My child must have 96, 97, 100. And I like to think that my children should enjoy all other activities and show greatness in sports and art and music and design and whatever it is that they want, you know. And I place like equal importance on those things. So that's what I think of when I think of gentle parenting versus the traditional parenting that they mostly focus on academics and following rules and restrictions.
That's powerful because it's understanding each individual already comes with their inner sensing. And not every child is going to be great at school. Some of the children must be great at sports. Some of the children must be great artists. Some of the children must be great in some other thing. But not everyone will be someone who is great when it comes to academics. So I applaud that and I welcome more of that.
I agree with you, Stefy, to a point. I think you still need to have that foundation. So like my daughter just went into Form 1. So I have no issue with, okay, if she likes the arts or if she likes sports, because I would push her to do everything, because I think you have to push them, because they may not know exactly at this age what they want to do. So say like she wants to do volleyball, and then after a month she come telling me that, oh well, I quit volleyball. Why I quit volleyball? No, you have to push them to a sense to get the greatness out of them, because they may not know at that point in time. They don't feel to do it anymore. But you still need to push them to get to that level where, yeah, okay, I really love this, you know.
Oh well, what I was trying to say is, like, I wouldn't shame them for getting anything like less than a good mark. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to make them feel like they didn't perform well because they didn't get an A, let's say.
Right. So the importance is really on the ability to answer the question of, did you do your best?
Exactly. That's what
and
I want.
balance.
I want your best. Put your best foot
Yeah.
forward.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Or don't
Correct. 'Cause
do
it's
not
really
do the
about doing
academics
your best.
because you're not up for the challenge. Accept the challenge, be it academics, be it sports, be it art. Accept the challenge, and whatever it is, do
Correct.
your best. That
Right.
might not be your thing, but did you do your best?
Exactly.
Yes, that's exactly what we coming at, Michelle. Just do your best. Don't just give up because you're saying I don't like maths. No, you actually try the maths. You actually give your all in the maths. No, you need to try and you need to go back because sometimes we just give up too easily. And as I
Yes.
always tell, a hard work pays off in anything. You put in the work and you'll get your results. Even if you're a sportsman, because Usain Bolt didn't become the fastest man on the planet by just staying in his bed every morning. He had to wake up before everybody else and put in that work. So
Yes.
hard work pays off, whether it's in academics or in sport or even in art or to be an actor. I do think Denzel Washington or Tom Cruise just woke up and they were the best actor. They still have to
Yes.
go and put in the work in acting school and learn to be the best.
Very true. You might have
And
talent, but talent you would lose if you don't train. You have to keep
Yes,
working at it.
exactly. Because for you, Michelle, to become the best radio host, and you still have to put in the work personally, do your personal development
Yes.
every day, and it still is a still work in progress. You don't just wake up
Consistently.
and go on the radio and just be, you know.
They say an expert is someone who has completed 10,000 hours in a task. But I will tell
Yeah,
you, I think the moment we believe we know it all, that's when we stop learning. And that's a very dangerous place to be.
yeah.
And even at this stage, after doing it for over 20 years plus and counting, I am always learning and always getting buff,
Yeah.
always getting buff. As I said, correction is love. So you want the correction. You want to know how you could do better and be better. The moment
Yeah,
you don't want correction, you're a fool. And I think that's part of the things we need to teach our children as well. Correction, there's always a question of how, but how do you correct? But the important thing is that you do correct. You do have those moments in which you're able to give opportunities for improvement.
yeah, definitely.
Maya
You know,
Curti
I
says
think,
being all rounded. Hi, Maya. Maya is a member of our power team.
Hey,
hi,
Maya.
Maya. There's something that you said earlier, and I just want to go back to saying that I feel sometimes we also make a mistake in making our children feel that time is running out, or do we put this pressure on them that they have to do this in this particular timing, and if you don't do it in this timing, well, you lose everything. And that is a pressure because not everybody is ready to do the same things at the same time. Everybody has a different timing for achieving certain things. And if
That's
you
true.
kind of try to really know your child or know the children that you have, and you recognize that this one moves at this pace, that one moves at that pace, and allow them to be comfortable, because when you're comfortable doing what you are doing, you tend to get the best results. So and it brings me to the topic of people comparing children, whether it's the siblings or it's cousins or whatever, making these comparisons about, this one always come in first, second, or third in tests. How come you always come in seventh and eighth in tests in your class? And that kind of thing. Those things are very damaging to the psyche of the young person, and we need to be so careful because you carry those experiences with you throughout your life. you know I don't know what people think about that.
I certainly agree with you, and something came to memory as well. Before I get into that, Sans Johnson says, thanks for this live, guys. Absolutely agree to these discussions. Take the opportunity as well and share the live. And be sure to follow Aduke Edwards live in the 868, Mr. Jason Marcus. You also have Truly Stefy, and I am Michelle Raymond. Be sure to love them up, follow. And if anything, you'd be able to see some more about them when we have further discussions. But one of the things yes, Jason.
You go ahead, Michelle. No, just a quick thought into what Aduke was saying with regards to there's no you shouldn't put an age limit on achieving greatness or when you should do things, because if you look at, for instance, Colonel Sanders, he was age 65 when he started KFC.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So there's no age. You do not need to achieve. Everybody achieves things at different ages. So just because you reach 30 and you're not sure what you want to be as yet in life, that doesn't mean you're a failure. You just keep going, as our mantra. You just keep going and keep pushing, and it will come to you. It will come to you.
I fully agree. Keep going and keep pushing. As I was sharing, I remember there was one point in time when I came second to last in test. And my father, well, that vacation period was not good at all. Got to go nowhere. So the next term, I came second in test. And I found that was such a major jump from second to last to second. And I was expecting this big fanfare, like where we going, what we doing, let we live we life. And when I presented that to my father, he was like, basically saying, that's what I expect. Why would I rate that?
Celebrate.
I expect you to do well. I understand what he was saying, but I still felt like, gosh, boy, you could give some credit for that.
Another important point I'd like to make, Michelle, is that children are very observant. And as much as sometimes you may hear parents say, gosh, I'm so tired talking to and telling her that or telling him that, and he's not listening, they don't like to listen. Children do what they see you do. So it's important that you let them see that you're doing the right things. Even though you feel that they may not be observing, they are. So that when they see that you're doing the right things, that seed is sown, right? That seed is planted at that point in time. I mean, nobody's perfect, but you try as best as you can to do the right things in front of them. So they always have that in the back of their mind. Even though you feel sometimes that they may not want to listen to you or go along with whatever you're saying.
I fully agree. I'm seeing Zion Gopi Singh says, I feel like what Stefy was saying is that she allows her children to grow and explore at their own rate and encourages holistic growth. Oh, definitely. And you said it so beautifully, Zion. Thank you for that. And Michelle, thank you for sharing. I want to say thank you to each of you because I know it's quite late and we need to ensure maybe we tuck some of our children in for the night, and maybe it might just be that it's time for us to tuck ourselves in. But I want to say thank you for joining on the live, Facebook, LinkedIn, also Twitter, YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to share this and put some love buttons on it to ensure that it just picks up and other people are able to join in on this discussion too. I think we need more of this. So I want to say a big thank you to Jason Marcus, Aduke Edwards, Truly Stefy. I am Michelle Raymond, and to you, our viewers. We appreciate the comments as well. Love and light always. Jason, Stefy, Michelle, Aduke, please, let's wrap things up.
I just want to say thanks, Michelle, for opening this forum for us to discuss this topic about parenting. I know it's very... What is me? So we have some technical difficulties there.
You can't already.
What's going on? That's what's happened when we go live. Anything could happen.
Anything could happen, like my husband blending something a while ago.
So yeah, Michelle, I just want to thank you again for having us here on this panel to discuss this important topic of parenting. I want to say thank you to Michelle, Aduke, and Truly Stefy. It was a pleasure speaking with you all this afternoon. I mean, this evening. And I just want to let you all know that I'm Jason Marcus. We are live from the
Live from the
868. Just
868.
remember, yeah? Live in the moment, guys. Live in the moment.
Awesome. Mish.
Aduke.
Stefy.
So, as you know, this is my first live, but actually it was really nice. I love the interaction within the group and also the audience. So that was nice getting like the feedback in the comments and seeing the appreciation for the topic and the conversation. So it was nice, and I look forward to doing it again.
We need to send some extra hearts in the chat now for Stefy because this is the first time ever she has ever gone live. First time. So send some love to Stefy in the chat. Stefy, you're a rock star. Absolutely amazing. And thank you for pulling your courage and going through with this. Aduke.
I would like to say, and I would like to say thank you to Stefy for being such a trooper in terms of really coming on and staying. I know it was overwhelming, and Stefy, you did really, really well. Thank you to everyone else, all the other colleagues, to Jason Marcus, to Michelle Raymond, to Michelle Burrell, and I absolutely enjoy the interaction from our audience in terms of who is listening and who is, whether you agree or not, for us to have this discussion. I think it's a really nice platform for us, and I'd just like to say thank you. This is Aduke Edwards of Level Up 60 Plus. Have a good night.
Thank you, Aduke. And Michelle.
Sorry, I can't hear anything that you were saying. A message just came in, so it just muted your voice. But I just want to say it's been a pleasure. And to all the parents out there, we're not perfect, but just try to do the best that you can do. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Mish. And also wanted to just say, Sans Johnson said, Stefy, you are awesome. Sharon Hayward sent you some hearts, Stefy. Michelle Williams sent you even more hearts. These hearts for you, Stefy. Keep growing. Keep like plenty. And Keith says, good evening, guys. Great job. We love you, Keith. Thank you so very much. One of our power team members. So love and light always. Want to take the time to remind you that sweet soul, there is power within you. Your thoughts become things and your words are your one. So now we can all say, good night.
Good night, everyone.
Have a great one. Thank you.